Hello and welcome to ClearSpeak English. I'm Avery and I'm thrilled to have you here. Today, we're tackling a topic that every English learner thinks about: vocabulary. Specifically, we're going to talk about vocabulary for spoken English, what to learn and what to ignore. Have you ever spent hours memorizing long lists of words only to find that you can't use them in a real conversation? Do you recognize thousands of words when you read, but struggle to find the right ones when you speak? If you answered yes, don't worry, you're not alone, and this lesson is exactly for you. Our goal today is to help you build a vocabulary that you can actually use for fluent, confident speaking. We'll cover the difference between active and passive vocabulary, why word lists are not your friend, the power of high-frequency words and phrases, and I'll give you a simple daily practice method to make it all stick. Let's get started. First, let's understand the two types of vocabulary you have: active and passive. Your active vocabulary consists of all the words you can use easily and confidently in your own speech and writing without hesitation. Think of words like hello, thank you, eat, water, happy. You don't have to search for them. They just come out naturally. On the other hand, your passive vocabulary includes all the words you recognize and understand when you hear or read them, but you don't typically use them yourself. For example, you might read the word ambiguous in an article and know it means unclear, but you probably wouldn't use it when talking to a friend. You'd likely just say unclear or confusing.
Let's dive a bit deeper into this active versus passive concept. Think of your vocabulary like a giant iceberg. The small tip of the iceberg that you can see above the water is your active vocabulary. It's visible, accessible, and ready to use. But beneath the surface, there's a massive hidden block of ice. That's your passive vocabulary. It's huge, and it's all there, but you can't easily grab a piece of it when you're speaking. For instance, you might be watching a historical drama and hear the word sovereign. You understand from the context that it means king or ruler. That word is now in your passive iceberg. But will you use sovereign when talking about the head of a company? No, you'll say boss or CEO. The goal is not just to make the iceberg bigger, it's to get more of that ice above the water. The problem many learners face is that they focus all their energy on adding more ice to the bottom of the iceberg, learning more and more words they can only recognize without ever developing a system to bring those words to the surface. This is why you can feel like you know thousands of words, but still be at a loss for words in a simple conversation. It's a frustrating feeling, but recognizing this distinction is the very first step towards solving it.
For most learners, the passive vocabulary is much, much larger than the active one. The key to spoken fluency isn't just learning more words to add to your passive library. It's about strategically moving the most useful words from your passive vocabulary into your active vocabulary. That's our mission.
Think of your vocabulary like an iceberg. The small part you see above the water is your active vocabulary. It's visible, accessible, and ready to use. But beneath the surface, there's a massive amount of ice. That's your passive vocabulary. It's huge, but it's hidden and not easily accessible. Our job isn't to make the entire iceberg bigger, but to raise more of that hidden ice above the water, bringing those passive words into your active, usable vocabulary. This shift is what creates fluency.
So, how do we do that? Let's first talk about what not to do. The most common mistake learners make is trying to memorize long lists of vocabulary words from a dictionary or an app. You might learn 50 new words a week, but can you use them? Probably not. The problem with this method is a total lack of context. Language is not a collection of isolated words. Words work together in patterns and phrases. Memorizing a word like ubiquitous is useless if you don't know how to build a sentence around it naturally. Think of it like this. Memorizing word lists is like having a giant pile of bricks. You might have thousands of beautiful bricks, but if you don't know how they connect, you can't build a house. You need to learn how the bricks fit together to create something meaningful. In English, those connections are phrases and collocations.
Let me tell you a quick story about a student of mine named Carlos. Carlos was incredibly dedicated. Every week, he would memorize over 100 advanced English words. He had flashcards, apps, everything. On paper, his vocabulary was phenomenal, but when he joined a conversation group, he struggled. He was slow, hesitant, and often used words in slightly strange ways. For example, he once wanted to say he was very tired, and he used the word exhausted. But instead of saying, I'm exhausted, he said, I feel a great exhaustion. While grammatically correct, it sounded very unnatural, like something from an old book. The native speakers understood him, but the conversation felt stilted. Carlos had the bricks, but not the blueprints. He knew the words, but not the music of how they were used in real life. This experience taught him a valuable lesson. Fluency isn't about the number of words you know, but how well you can use the words you know in context. That's why we need to shift our focus from collecting words to connecting them.
This brings us to a much more effective strategy, focusing on high-frequency spoken words. Did you know that in everyday English conversation, just a few thousand words make up the vast majority of what we say? Research shows that the top 2,000 to 3,000 most common words cover about 80 to 90% of normal spoken English. These aren't complicated academic words. They are simple, versatile words like get, go, have, make, thing, right, really, and just. The power of these words is in their flexibility. The word get, for example, has dozens of meanings. I get it means I understand. I need to get going means I need to leave. Did you get my email? Means did you receive it? Instead of learning a rare word you might use once a year, mastering the many uses of a common word like get will instantly improve your fluency. So, the first thing to learn is the core vocabulary of the language. Ignore the obscure words for now. Focus on the foundation.
Let me give you a powerful example of this. The word run. A beginner might learn run as the verb for moving quickly on your feet. I like to run in the morning. But in spoken English, run is a powerhouse. You can run a business. You can run into an old friend, which means to meet them unexpectedly. If you're sick, you might run a fever. If a car's engine is on, it's running. A politician will run for office. You can run out of milk, meaning you have none left. You can run an errand. The list goes on and on. There are dozens of these common, flexible words. Think about take, make, do, go, set, put, turn. Mastering these is like getting a master key to the city of English. You can unlock so many doors with them. Focusing your energy here on the core 20% will give you 80% of the results you're looking for. This is how you build a vocabulary that is not just big, but smart and efficient for speaking.
But how do we learn these high-frequency words effectively? The answer is phrase-based vocabulary learning. This is the absolute best way to build your active spoken vocabulary. It means you stop learning single words and start learning word chunks or phrases. Let's break down what this includes. First, we have collocations. These are words that naturally go together. For example, we make a decision, not do a decision. We take a photo, not make a photo. Learning these pairs together makes your English sound much more natural. Next are phrasal verbs, like give up, look forward to, or figure out. These are essential in spoken English. Learning figure by itself is not as useful as learning the entire phrase figure out, which means to solve or understand something. Finally, we have sentence starters and idiomatic expressions. Phrases like, to be honest, as far as I'm concerned, or at the end of the day. When you learn these full chunks, your brain doesn't have to work as hard to build sentences. You can recall the entire phrase instantly, which makes you speak more smoothly and fluently. Let's see this in action with some real-life spoken examples. Imagine you're planning your day. Instead of thinking word by word, a native speaker might think in chunks like this. Okay, first things first, I need to get some coffee. After that, I have to run some errands. I've been putting off going to the post office for a week, so I need to get around to that. Later, I'm hoping to catch up with my friend Sarah. I'm really looking forward to it. Hopefully, I don't end up just watching TV all night instead. Did you hear all those phrases? First things first, run some errands, putting off, get around to that, catch up with, looking forward to, end up. A native speaker doesn't construct these phrases. They retrieve them from memory as a single unit. This is the secret to fluency. Learning these phrases is far more valuable than learning 50 random words. Now, let's quickly cover some common vocabulary mistakes you should try to avoid. The first one is using overly formal or big words in casual conversation. It can sound unnatural. For example, instead of saying, "I will endeavor to complete the task," just say, "I'll try to finish it." Simple is almost always better in conversation. Another mistake is direct translation from your native language. This often leads to incorrect collocations. A student might say, "I made a party," because in their language the verb is make. But in English, the natural collocation is, "I had a party," or "I threw a party." That's why learning phrases is so important. Finally, pay attention to word forms. Make sure you're using the adjective form when you need an adjective, or the noun form when you need a noun. For example, say, "He is a successful person," not "he is a success person." Okay, so how can you practice this every day? I have a simple 4-step method for you. Let's call it the NUPU method. Notice, understand, practice, use. Step 1. Notice. When you're watching a movie, listening to a podcast, or reading a book, actively listen for a phrase or collocation that sounds useful. Not a single word, but a chunk. Write it down. Step 2. Understand. Look up the meaning of the entire phrase. See how it was used in the original context. Don't just look up the individual words. Step 3. Practice. Create 3 to 5 of your own example sentences using that phrase. Make them personal and true for you, as this helps with memory. Say them out loud. Step 4. Use. This is the most important step. Try to use your new phrase in a real conversation within the next 24 hours. If you don't have a speaking partner, talk to yourself. Describe your day using the new phrase. This active recall is what moves it into your active vocabulary. Now that you have the NUPU method, let's go deeper into the notice step. Where can you find the best phrases to learn? The answer is everywhere, but you need to be selective. Let's talk about choosing the right input for your level and interests. So, to wrap things up, let's review. The key to building a powerful spoken vocabulary is not about how many words you know, but how well you can use them. Stop memorizing isolated word lists. Instead, focus on high-frequency words and learn them in phrases, collocations, and chunks. Listen for these chunks in real English and use a simple practice method like notice, understand, practice, and use to move them into your active vocabulary. Remember, the goal is clear communication, not a perfect vocabulary. Be patient with yourself and focus on making small, consistent progress every day. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this lesson helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to ClearSpeak English for more lessons just like this one. And for a little practice, leave a comment below with a useful English phrase you've learned recently. I'd love to read them. Until next time, happy learning.